Hey everybody, and welcome back to my channel. Today I have another Dollar Tree DIY for you guys. This has got to be my favorite Dollar Tree DIY I have ever done. I think that they look so good. So if you're interested in seeing how I made these two Halloween items out of Dollar Tree products, stick around for this video. So the first thing that I'm going to start with are these scarves that I got from Dollar Tree, and they're just the orange and the black buffalo check, and I ended up buying two and it worked out perfect. So go ahead and grab two of those from the Dollar Tree, and you can see here I just started by taking one and I cut it in half, and now I'm cutting the same length out. You can just kind of eyeball it. It'll depend on how big you want your pumpkins, but now I'm going to make them wider by gluing them together, and you want to glue them together like you were sewing a pillow. So you can see here I'm actually gluing and then sticking them to each other, but then I'm going to turn them inside out. That way the seam doesn't show, and once you get the pumpkins all tied up, you're not going to ever see that seam anyways. At this point, I'm just going back and I'm making sure that the glue seam is solid, that there's no holes. Where there was holes, I went ahead and added a little bit more glue, just because you don't want your stuffing to be coming out of your pumpkins once you start assembling the pumpkin. I tried doing this a few different ways, and the way that you can see me doing it is the best way that I found. It makes your pumpkins shape the best. You are going to start by just taking these two sides. It's not the corners, but the sides, and just put a little dab of glue. It's really just to hold it in place. It's really not like a big deal. You don't have to add that much. You can see I did just a tiny bit there. And you're going to gather those two sides just like that. And then after that, that's when you're going to start gathering up your corners. Now at this point, you want to make sure it's nice and tight, that your stuffing is staying inside, and that you're getting a good grip on it, because that's where you're going to start tying it. So you can see here, I'm just kind of moving the stuffing around and shaping it just a little bit better. And then I'm just going to take this piece of twine and I'm going to tie it off, and then again at that point you can kind of work your stuffing a little bit more and just make sure that you like the shape of it. The next thing that you're going to do to create the shape of your pumpkin is you're going to take some twine and you're going to tie it around your pumpkin just like you see me doing here. Now I chose to do the two main ties like you can see me doing right here. I chose to take two pieces of twine and kind of double them up. I don't know, I just felt like it was just a little bit like more farmhousey. I don't know what to call it, but and then the other two that I do, I end up just using one piece of twine, and I really like the way that it ended up looking that way. So you could definitely just use one piece of twine for all of them if you chose to, but you can definitely do it however you want, whatever your style is. You could even use a different type of string besides twine, but I really love the way the twine looked. Now you can see I'm just doing the exact same thing. Of course, I cut my pieces larger to make the bottom pumpkin larger than the middle one, but I'm just making sure that my glue line is solid and that either I'm filling in any holes that were left behind. pumpkin, you want to make sure that you cut off all of the extra fabric that we gathered to the top. That way they are flat to where we can glue them together. This is what I'm left with. I've got the bottom pumpkin and the middle pumpkin. I saved the top pumpkin until the last one because you're gonna do the same thing for almost everything, except for now we're gonna add a stem, and I'll show you how I do that here in just a second. To begin the stem, you're just going to take your roll of twine, go ahead and tie it around the base of the stem, and then you're going to start wrapping it. Now you'll see every once in a while I do put a dab of glue just to kind of hold the rolling in place. You don't want it to unravel on you. And so every once in a while I will put a dab of glue, and to make the stem have its shape, I wrap more twine around the bottom. And then when you get towards the top, you can wrap less and less, and it will give it that real appearance of being that stem that's kind of fuller towards the base and then thinner at the bottom. Here you can see me just kind of dabbing some glue on the end. I was just kind of trying to create some sort of like structure at the top. It didn't really work, honestly, but you know, I thought maybe it was a good idea at the time. Maybe you could get it to work for you. But yeah, so I'm just wrapping the base pretty heavily right here to make it thicker. And then you'll notice as I continue up towards the top, I wrap less and less. Next comes the assembly. Just be very, very generous with the glue that you dab on there. And then you can see I'm just putting pressure on it, and I put pressure on it for a good at least 30 seconds on each one. Obviously the video is sped up, but yeah, just be really, really generous with your glue. I also saved some of this greenery off of some flowers that I had used on another DIY, and I thought that it added just what it needed to the top. So if you've got any of that laying around, you can just glue that to the base of the stem. And that's how it turned out, you guys. I think it looks so, so good. I just double checked it and made sure that all the glue was secure, and if there was any openings, I just added a little bit more and held it a little bit longer. But this has got to be my favorite DIY I have ever done. I think it definitely looks like something that you get from TJ Maxx or from Home Goods. I saw some pumpkins that looked just like this at Home Goods, and for a small fraction of the price, I think that it turned out amazing. Now let's go ahead and move on to this sign that I made. Also one of my favorite Dollar Tree DIYs I have ever done. I'm just going to start by taking these 2 planks of wood. I actually pulled these 2 pieces of wood off of a pallet that I picked up at my work that they were throwing away, but you can use any piece of wood that you have laying around. And I'm just dry brushing both of these pieces of wood. I started with white, and then I ended up wanting to give it kind of a like spooky, like scary look to it. So I went ahead and I started dry brushing it with the black as well. Next, you're going to want to pick up this sign from Dollar Tree. Any sign similar will work. You can do kind of the same concept, but I just removed the little hanger that they had there. It was made out of like some sort of like ribbon, but I just cut that off because I'm not hanging it. I'm actually going to be attaching it with screws. But I thought that it could use a little bit of dry brushing around the outside too. I'm not gonna lie, I didn't super love the dry brushing on that one side that has it really heavily. I accidentally came on a little bit too strong with some of the paint, but in the end I think it turned out just fine. So kind of have a light hand when you're doing that. There's already holes at the top from where the hanger was. So now I'm just gonna create my own holes at the bottom. I just used my screwdriver here, and I'm creating the holes just to make it easier to make the screws go through. Next, I'm going to set the sign on top of the 2 planks, and I'm going to make sure I have it positioned really well, and then I'm just going to add in the screws. Ended up adding on a bow to it later, and I did get that from Dollar Tree, and I don't know if they had it this year, but I actually bought the ribbon last year. But here is the finished product. You can see I just stapled the hanger onto the back with my staple gun, and then I added in a few staples along the seam just to add a little bit extra structure to it. And I even hand wove the hanger myself out of the twine. You can see right here, it took me a little while to do that. I don't plan to hang it, but I thought it just added a little bit of cuteness to the top to have it there. So let me know what you guys think in the comment section below. I love the way that they both turned out. I think they look so great and so much more expensive than $1, and I only spent a few dollars on each one. Thank you guys so much for hanging with me until the end. If you liked this video, give it a big thumbs up. And if you're not already subscribed to my channel, I would love it if you would subscribe. I hope you guys have a great day. Bye!